Okay, let's just dive right in. At one of the most critical choke points on the entire planet, a stunning new reality is unfolding. I mean, we're talking about a mix of geopolitics, raw military force, and cryptocurrency in a way we have literally never seen before.
Now, I want you to listen to that quote again. Any vessel attempting to pass without permission will be destroyed. That sounds like a line straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster, right? But it's not. This is a real, chilling warning being broadcast right now over marine radio to ships in the Persian Gulf. It is the sound of a fundamental rule of global trade being rewritten by force.
So, what exactly is happening here? Well, to put it simply, Iran has basically turned the world's most critical oil route into, you guessed it, a crypto toll booth. We're talking about Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, setting this whole thing up. And the kind of payment they're demanding? Well, that's setting the precedent that is shocking a lot of people. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What does this high-stakes shakedown, this crypto toll booth, actually look like on the water? Let's break down the sheer scale of this operation, because it's massive. Okay, check this out. The price tag for safe passage? It's staggering. We're talking about a fee set at roughly $1 per barrel of crude oil. Now think about one of those massive supertankers, a VLCC, right? They hold about 2 million barrels. You do the math, that is a $2 million toll for a single trip. So you might be asking, why does this matter so much? Well, it all comes down to location. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just some random body of water. It is the most important oil choke point on the planet. I mean, think about it. 20%, that's 1/5 of the entire world's oil supply, has to pass through this tiny little channel. If you control this strait, you basically have your hand on the faucet of the global economy. And the impact of this? Whoa. It was immediate and it was dramatic. Before all this started, you'd see about 135 ships pass through the strait every single day. Now, that number has absolutely plummeted to just 10 to 15 ships a day. We're talking about global shipping through this critical artery being brought to a screeching halt. And as you can imagine, this has created a gigantic maritime traffic jam. I mean, right now, as we speak, there are around 800 tankers and cargo ships just waiting in the region. They're stuck in limbo. Hundreds are literally trapped inside the Persian Gulf, all just sitting there, waiting, trying to figure out how to get through safely. Okay, so this brings us to the big question. Why? Why would Iran do something so drastic? Well, to get that, you really have to understand the intense economic pressure the country's been under for years now. This move, it isn't just a simple power grab. It's also a pretty desperate workaround. And that pressure comes in the form of economic sanctions. So for anyone who needs a quick refresher, sanctions are basically financial penalties. Think of them as tools countries use to cut another nation off from the global economy. It makes it incredibly hard for them to trade, to use banks, or even get to their own money. And when it comes to Iran, these sanctions have been severe. The country has been pretty much cut off from SWIFT. That's the main network for international bank transfers. It's like the plumbing of the global financial system. And being cut off has absolutely crippled their ability to get paid for their oil and blocked them from the normal financial channels the rest of us take for granted. And that is where cryptocurrency comes into the picture. This is the why. A spokesperson for Iran's oil exporters union, Hamid Husseini, basically laid it all out. He said that these crypto payments are completed in seconds, and they believe they can't be traced or confiscated. They see it as a payment system that operates completely outside of the Western-controlled banking world, one that's fast, and most crucially, one that they think can't be shut down. Which, of course, leads to the next big question. How does this whole crypto toll booth actually work? I mean, what are the mechanics? You might be surprised to hear that the IRGC has set up a pretty formal step-by-step process. Okay, so here's how it goes down. Step 1, a ship owner has to email an intermediary, someone linked to the IRGC, with all their ship and cargo details. Step 2, Iran vets the ship. They check for any connections to the US or Israel, and then they give it a friendliness score, which helps decide the final price. Kind of crazy, right? Step 3, the shipping company sends the payment in crypto, or even Chinese yuan. And finally, step 4, once the money is confirmed, the ship gets a one-time passcode over the radio and a full-on naval escort through Iranian waters. And you know what's wild? How quickly this all came together. This whole thing started informally in the middle of March. By the end of that same month, The Iranian parliament had already passed a law making it official. And even after a fragile ceasefire was announced in early April, the crypto toll system, yeah, that stayed right where it was. It's the new reality.
All right, now let's dig into the tech side of things, because this is where it gets really interesting. Iran is apparently accepting a few different payment options, but the choice between them, well, that involves a really fascinating strategic calculation.
So on one side, you've got stablecoins like Tether or USDC. The big advantage? Their price is stable, pegged to the US dollar, which is obviously great for business. But, and this is a huge but, they're issued by centralized companies. And those companies can freeze the funds. They literally have a kill switch. Then, on the other side, you have Bitcoin. Yeah, the price is volatile. It's all over the place. But it is truly permissionless. There's no central company, no CEO, no one who can hit a freeze button.
And that right there is the core logic. You see, stablecoins might be okay for smaller day-to-day trade. But when you're talking about a single $2 million payment, the risk of that getting frozen by a US-based company is just way too high. For a payment that big, Bitcoin's unconfiscatable nature isn't just a feature, it becomes a strategic necessity. It goes from being some slogan you hear online to a real tool of national finance. So let's zoom out a bit. What does all of this mean for the rest of us? The implications of turning the world's most vital oil artery into a crypto-powered toll booth? Well, they're enormous, and we're already seeing the ripple effects spreading across the globe. Probably the first question on your mind right now is a simple one. Wait a minute, can they even do that? Is this whole thing legal under international law? Well, it's complicated. You see, there's something called the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UN close, and it basically says everyone has a right to transit passage through international straits, and you can't charge them for it. The catch? Iran never signed that treaty. Their argument is, hey, we're not charging a toll. We're charging for services rendered, for the security escorts. And they're pointing to other places like the Suez Canal as an example. It's a massive legal gray zone. So, setting aside the whole legal fight for a second, what does this really mean for the rest of the world? This move is fundamentally changing the entire landscape of global trade, security, and finance. Well, first off, the immediate effects are pretty clear. Higher shipping costs, and you guessed it, probably higher oil prices for all of us at the pump. But the precedent this sets, that's what's truly alarming. If this works for Iran, what's stopping other countries from setting up their own toll booths at other choke points? And back in the US, this is already triggering a huge regulatory scramble to crack down on stablecoins and crypto exchanges. It's blurring all the lines between state finance, sanctions, and military action.
And all of this brings us to one final, pretty unsettling thought. For years, right, the big debate around crypto has been about it being a tool for financial freedom. But what we're seeing here in the Strait of Hormuz is something else entirely. We're seeing it used as a tool of raw state power, a way to turn military control into cash and sidestep the entire global financial system. So it really makes you wonder, in this new world, has the line between an act of finance and an act of war just been completely erased?